Hello and welcome back, or welcome, to Rituals and Rolls Recap. For those who are wondering why we look like this, please watch Still Digging, episode 10, our spooktacular episode where we discussed evil archaeology, demons, and zombies. So please watch that. But this is Rituals and Rolls, the home of where we discuss the latest adventures of our merry band of adventurers as they look to stop the death curse on the peninsula of Chult in the Forgotten Realms of the world of Dungeons and Dragons. So,
are we married?
We didn't get to Chult yet.
No, you guys are taking too long.
Okay, let's talk about the door.
Yes.
Wait, but first, Bill.
Yes.
Bill, your mascara's running.
It is. I'm fully in full raccoon face right now. I'm either.
I was gonna go crow.
He's Rocket the raccoon.
Because this thing
looks just
was
a little bit like the crow.
This thing was smashing my nose for the last hour and 15 minutes, and I couldn't take it anymore. So I figured for this show, I would go sans masky. Ooh, spooky. No mask now. So we're gonna talk about episode 2 of Rituals and Rolls, Contemplating Doors.
Yeah. We did a lot of that.
So, our merry band of adventurers, who were already in a cave, preparing to search for... I'm also trying to make sure our stream is up and everything. Yep, we're up.
I've got you.
We're good.
So, our merry band of adventurers, as we left off from episode 1, were in a cave under the tower of a lich, which looked a lot like a tower in Newport, Rhode Island for some reason. I don't know.
Weird, eh?
To try to find a book which holds the souls. It's called something nicer than that, but I don't have those notes in front of me right now. They were going to sneak in, grab the book, get in, get the book, get out. Nice, easy, fast operation. Previous episode, they'd snuck in. They caused a little bit of noise, but they were able to neutralize 2 guards pretty quickly. 2 skeletons and guards pretty quickly. This time, they were presented with a much steeper challenge. A series of doors. And what would they do with these doors? What's behind the door?
Free will and choice?
What's behind the door?
We had free will and choice. Yeah.
The doors were a barrier, and we were being respectful of said barrier.
Ooh.
Were we, though?
That's not how fun happens.
Well, we did try to knock the one door
you
down,
were.
but nobody was getting through that door because somebody couldn't pick a lock, and the other somebody couldn't smash a door down.
Excuse me. I rolled really high. I rolled really high on that lock picking roll, and I got to the last tumbler. So
I don't remember
the
what I
door still
rolled
didn't
to
get
smash the
open.
door.
So
Yes, it was a super,
it didn't work.
Super. Yes, it would have taken miracles.
Yep.
Not to say they don't happen. This is
That's the
D&D.
exit
Miracles
door.
happen.
Yeah.
it could have happened.
It's like in Skyrim when you go through the cave and you could only open the door from the back side of it.
Yeah.
It's like that.
So instead of getting through this one door, their metaphorical door they couldn't get through, even if they were philosophically wondering, is stone actually dirt? Isn't stone just pre-dirt?
Hey, it says I can
dirt not
move
stone?
stone in there.
It's dirt, not stone.
It does specifically say loose earth.
Yeah.
But it also says loose earth and stone. The word stone is
Yeah,
in
loose-
that spell.
Loose stone.
It is,
gravel.
but I think they mean loose stone.
If you were dealing with riprap, this would be like class. Is class 1 the smallest ones, and class 5 the big boulders?
At least I tried. Okay.
Yeah, no. Big one, I think the lower the number, the bigger it is.
Okay, so this would be like your moving earth spell would be like riprap class 5. You know, gravel, loose gravel that you would put in between rocks.
I love that you just went that far into Munsell to do that.
No, this is not Munsell. This is
This is just construction material.
construction material. I've done enough monitoring of like replacing bridges and waterways.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
Oh, you're actually looking
no,
up.
it's so riprap is by letter.
Oh.
So A, B, C, D, E, and then there's crushed rock, CR sizes. So CR6 is what you would put into like a 5 or 6 is what you would use to like put in a surface and roll it.
So the next time you drive by a bridge and you see a lot of stone that doesn't look like it belongs there, or you see those weird boxes of chicken wire with stone inside of it placed next to a creek bed or something, that's what this stuff is. It's there to supposed to mitigate during flash floods and things. See, this is the kind of knowledge you come to Rituals and Roll Recap for.
Yeah, rock sizes.
Rock. Woo! So anyway, so they couldn't get through the doors, so they went further into the cave, where they encountered some pretty.
Did we actually inspect? Did we actually inspect that door? Like we did. There wasn't anything particularly interesting on the door, was there? I don't even.
No, that door. No. It was just a solid.
That was just a door.
Metal, and I mean.
There was another door.
Arnell didn't identify a spell on it, so she learned everything there was about the door. This is just one of the finest crafted doors you could ever find. Nothing magical, but in terms of pure craftsmanship.
Somebody had to try to open that door, okay? And everybody else did their thing. I did my thing.
Yes, and while you were doing your thing, the other two were running down the other hallway looking for loot. And they did find some.
I didn't do anything dumb.
I am not a looter.
They came, Ty and Toma came into a nice room with these pretty glowing pink stones embedded into the wall and ceiling.
Didn't take any.
My character is part of the Golden Trowel, and the Golden Trowel does not loot.
Well, Toma, you technically did try to loosen one up.
My character is part of the Legion of Dirt, and we make fun of the Golden Trowel people.
Whatever.
So yeah, you grab one of those
thus
things.
Illustrates,
like a dead bear.
Thus illustrates the rivalry between academic and CRM archaeologists.
Accurate.
You're not a real archaeologist. I'm a real archaeologist. You're not even doing archaeology.
You're just a grave robber.
Yep.
So I think one interesting thing that comes out with this cave is the question of what happens when we're in the field and we're presented with new unknown information. You're walking and there's a well, or there's some bricks,
or a statue spewing blood,
or we're gonna get to that
you
one.
Just close the door on that
Spoilers.
one.
You just close the door and walk away.
Spoilers. I want to spend like
You just
20
walk
minutes
away.
on that room. I want to just replay the GIF from Shining with the.
All right, yeah. So this is a thing that I deal with. I mean, I know I deal with on a regular basis when I'm in the field. Is you find something weird, and then you can either sit there and stare at it for a while and not do the mechanical thing, or you can do the mechanical thing, and then there is a slight risk that you will lose some information. But I personally am of the opinion that some information or 90% of the information is better than no information if you just stare at it.
Right, and typically on the East Coast, at least, the East Coast of the United States, If you see something on the ground, it's most likely in a disturbed context. Because
Yeah.
of soil deposition and so forth like that. Anything that's really old should be buried. Not always, but should be buried underneath soil.
Well, and this is actually something that is becoming more of an issue, especially in coastal states where we're having sites just erode out, especially in Ireland. They just recently did a river coast. That's not what I'm talking about. Riverbank surveys are becoming more and more of a thing to assess the integrity of sites that were corroded previously that may be getting impacted by erosion now because of climate change.
Everybody I know has done those projects except me. I want to spend a day in a canoe just going up and down the rivers of southern Maryland looking at the shoreline.
I know.
I never get invited to any of those projects.
Yeah.
Boo.
I want to do that.
What, cruise along?
No, I gotta go to urban
I like urban archaeology.
Yeah, but I'm the backhoe half the time. I don't
mind the backhoe, but I don't get to do it very often. I always send guys to do the backhoe.
No. Not that I get to use the backhoe. I am the backhoe. Like, I am in there using a pick for like 6 hours a day in a dig bar.
Oh, wow.
Just removing overburden.
Yeah.
Wow.
That part's unpleasant, and my back doesn't like it.
I mean, you're not going to retire in archaeology. I mean, you are, but you're not going to retire in like your 70s.
I fully expect to die in this field, and they're just going to roll me into my unit and fill it back in.
You know what? If I had a nickel for every field archaeologist who's told me that, it's only happened a few times.
I don't know, man. I just got done working with this guy, Dave, who I adore, but I think he's serious.
I know for certain that one of my coworkers is convinced that he will die in the field. He is a very large man, and we had another guy that worked with us that is not a very large man, and he was threatening him that when he dies, he's going to just fall on him, so they would die together in the field.
Oh my god!
Oh, how romantic! Reminds me of that Smith songs. The light was still going. There was I forget the exact title.
Isn't there a Death Cab for Cutie? Well,
I'm not talking about real,
Into the
not
Dark.
the fake emo of the early 2000s.
Oh,
no,
Whoa!
If it's
a
not
lot of shade going up here.
if it's not depressing Moz, why bother? Where you got your emo and your racism and your drunk weird Catholicness going on. Morrissey's weird.
Yep. Bill, you're showing your age. Morrissey.
So speaking of so you touched the stone. Tomog had a little bit of a thing happen. He had to make a saving throw.
no, I didn't go anywhere.
Not for long, maybe.
Maybe.
You saw
Do we
something.
even?
You saw something. It may or may not have been real. Oh.
Oh yeah, you had an hallucination, didn't you?
But he didn't share it with us, did he?
Not yet.
Then
Drink a lot of bee venom, all right?
Then you were presented with a door with, I found a perfect GIF, and I will, on one of our social medias tonight or tomorrow, I'll put that GIF up. Presented with a door with a nice relief on it of a ship being broken and a kraken, the tentacles of a kraken breaking it in part. And once again, you guys stared at this door. And Tomog came up bravely and I'm going to figure out what's going on here, and he stared at the door.
But I rolled a 1 or something. I rolled poorly. I was lost in thought.
You were lost in thought. Well, no, it brought back flashbacks.
Meet yourself.
It was about.
I had another flashback.
It was about back when you and Patty, Patty. Oh, the story of Patty. You and Patty were out there
And
in the
hence
sea.
why we're calling for Kraken Tomog Lovin fan art.
Oh, no. Yeah, I remember that. Let's not do that.
Oh, Danny boy, the
I was going with
Kraken calls
Bowie.
for you.
Oh
Kraken.
my. Did not know what I was signing up for tonight.
I'm enjoying the serenade.
So yes, he got lost in thought and got caught up in a sea chanty.
Mm-hmm.
And Ty,
That's what it
definitely
does.
being the rogue, stip tip, psh, and kind of got a little carried away. He did it so well, and went right through the door into a hallway, where the party was presented with 2 other doors.
There were a lot of doors.
There were a lot of doors.
This is
Thank you.
this I believe is the high mark of Tomog as a character. You're going to have to do a lot to raise the bar above this one. The disregard the party. Throw caution to the wind. I'm tired of this crap. I'm taking charge. I'm rushing through the next door. You go through. You see a fountain with a demon relief statue on top, and there is blood pouring from the fountain, overflowing onto the floor, and you immediately nope and walk out.
This isn't for me.
It's like,
Yeah.
nope.
We could have explored it, but it was not the phylactery.
Ooh, that wasn't a book, so we're good.
I like the description was I opened the door, I started tasting copper because there's a fine mist of blood in the air. see the fountain, I shut the door and turn to the rest of the party and go, it's not in there. That wasn't it.
But the even better move, or just below that move, was then immediately going, even though you had a long hallway, you're like, okay, let's just go through the other door instead. Like,
Could have been a different door, I don't know.
it could have been the same
Something else in
room
there.
for all you knew. You weren't in there long enough.
How would I know?
You didn't. You just walked right into the other room.
Yep.
You are giving the rogues such anxiety.
I think that's my job.
That's true. We have a very nervous rogue. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. Too cautious. We need to get rid of that cautiousness.
I know. That's me though as a player in general. Like I knew a rogue was going to be a challenge for me because even when I play video games, I am definitely the ranged fighter. I'm not sticking my head in the middle of things.
But, I mean,
You've got the crossbow.
the
We
road
just want to
is you
meet
get
you.
in, you get out, no one's ever seen you. That's the kind of, your best thing is when no one knows you were ever there.
I'm going to have more confidence in his ability to be stealthy.
And maybe come up with
I don't
like
know,
a,
he's pretty stealthy. It's just the rest of us.
maybe come up with a sedative that you can feed Tomog or something to sort of calm him down.
Just no more.
Like Baraka? Is this like B.A. Baracus with the milk?
Yes.
Oh my
And the
God.
fly?
Yes. It's time for the airplane. And who found the Eve team van today? Was that Steph? On Twitter,
Yes.
she found the A team
Somebody
van
saw it,
today
yeah, I
in
saw
the
that.
parking lot.
Staff up in Canada. Really, the A team's in Canada right now.
So now we know. That's why we can't find. That's why the U.S. government hasn't been able to find them. They're hiding out in Canada for a crime they didn't commit. But if you're in need, you're someone to call. The A team. I've messed up the entire thing. Anyway, you go into the next room once again without regard. You didn't learn your lesson, and you go right into the next room. And now we have our first combat of the game.
And we won.
It was a single ghoul who was munching on a halfling, and then tried to beat you with the arm of that halfling.
Which, by the way, I thought was hilarious. So
I've done it.
It was the
That's true.
beginning
I'm pretty sure I
of.
used somebody's arm or leg as a club before in combat.
I think it was when we first. I think it was one of our first combats. I think you then turned around and fed it to Mascot before he became Mascot.
Possible. I didn't know. I threw him in ears.
Yeah,
No, there
yeah.
was something where I tore an arm off a corpse and then beat the other guy to death with it, or I don't remember. Anyway, if I haven't done it, I'm sure I will.
So now we're presented with the ghouls, so we can begin, any further conversations we might have about ghouls.
Excuse me.
These sort of undead creatures who voraciously feed upon the dead. It's not a brain thing, it's like eating dead humanoids, period. Nope.
Lucas has a question.
Yes. Pass it along.
Rather walk into a dungeon room full of gold, gems, and treasure, or a large arena-style empty room with a set of stairs directly on the other side? I think that's going to be different for every people. I know what I would do, or my character would do, but I think it would be different than the other two.
It depends. Before you walked into the large room, was there a save point right there? Then you know.
Was there a safe?
Yeah, if you
Definitely
right before you
right.
walk into a large empty room and there was a save point right beforehand, you know you're walking into trouble.
Definitely a boss fight.
Definitely a boss fight.
All right, where were we? So ghouls eating halflings, throwing stuff, and then what did we do after that?
I think that was.
Killed that one.
I think we wandered around and found some more doors.
Well, then no.
Oh no,
yeah.
no, the poisonous gas.
No. Before that, you had the water, the slimy water.
Oh yeah, you finally opened the door with a kraken on it.
Yeah.
No, that was the one that
No,
the
that's
tie
right.
kicked. And we went through there, we did that, and then we went down the hall to the open area with the poison gas.
Yeah, where did the water come from?
Water?
Yeah, the room, the
We had to wade through water.
slimy water. You sort of worked your way around after you got past the two doors.
That was before. That was before the second door with the kraken. It was to the right when we went left with the kraken.
And in that room was
Oh,
another.
in that little cave area?
Yeah, that was another
Yeah.
nope moment for. Yeah, that was before the Kraken door. That was the first nope moment for Tomog that evening, because Tomog once again saw something he didn't tell the rest of the party. He noticed
what?
that there were signs that something had been drugged through the area in the cave, leaving a slime.
I thought I said something about that. Oh, well, all right.
I think also Ty saw clothing like strewn about, which wasn't a good sign either.
Yeah.
Yeah. And an alcove, and I think there was a smell or something.
Yeah.
Or a puddle. It was something weird.
Puddling, it was dripping.
was damp in there.
It was stalactites coming down, and there was dripping water, and the water was slippery.
Was I with you guys, or was I still trying to do the door thing?
You were doing the door thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you were still doing.
That's why I like to
think-
remember any of this. I tuned it out.
I know. In my head, I thought that it might be a gelatinous, or not a gelatinous ooze. Yeah, the cube. What's the cube? Classic D&D.
Gelatinous tube.
Slime?
A gelatinous cube. So it's like a
It's a cube.
big acid
That's made out of
jelly.
Jello.
Yeah, and it eats people. But they're usually clear. Tomog wouldn't have known this, but I knew this from being a 3 player.
Shame, metagamer.
Well,
Try not.
like I said, I like for Ty, like again, because he grew up in caves with a whole bunch of different monsters. I think he'd be wary of certain signs. To be perfectly frank.
But everybody noped
Maybe.
that one and went back to the hallway with the doors, and then he moved into one big room.
Sounds
And,
disappointed.
so Ty, this was a great move because Ty snuck into the room with a really good stealth score. and a horrible perception score. So you get into the room.
Very useful.
You're not making a sound at all. And as far as you're concerned, coast is clear. Come on, everybody, let's go. So everybody else comes in, and then two other ghouls.
Trust me.
Then two ghouls come out and attack you from one from each end. Also, there's this smell of rotten eggs in the air.
Oh yeah, I got poisoned.
Poison gas.
So did we decide that we knew what that was though?
No, I think you guys kicked the door down and ran into another room.
Yeah, I don't think.
Well,
you
yeah,
guys spent
because
enough time.
okay.
You guys didn't spend enough time thinking. You
now.
were coughing, and as soon as you had the opportunity to, you got away.
Yeah. Yep, that sounds about right.
Which is where we left the evening, because they walk into a room next, where they see a nice chest on the ground, and a specter comes from behind a pillar. Dun dun dun.
Oh yeah.
You might go, hey, that doesn't sound like much. Don't worry. Go back, watch a show. It took us 2 hours.
Hey, at least if we set things on fire this time, at least it'll just, like, there's not a lot to burn. It's all stone.
See, when it comes to ghouls, we're all business, but doors, let me tell you.
Oh,
doors.
yeah, ghouls you're dispatching, like, you're not even thinking twice about them. You're just immediately combat. Door, on the other hand, is like...
I don't know about this door. Could be a trap.
You don't know what's on the other side of that door. You know what a specter
You
is.
do if you open it.
But I think this is also pretty cool, sort of, once again, sort of showing sort of what the mindset of an archaeologist. We do often, unless someone else is sitting there kicking us in the rear, if you give us a chance, we will contemplate something for a long time. Whether it's doing a test unit and we see a feature, some sort of stain or pattern on the ground underneath there, you'll look at it, you'll call someone over, they'll look at it, you'll take a picture of it, you'll fax it, you'll text it to somebody, they look at it, you maybe put it on Facebook to see if anybody recognizes what this thing is, they all look at it. Someone will have an idea.
This is a pet peeve of mine.
Someone will have an idea. It's like, okay, this is obviously a post-mold. So what we're going to do now is we're going to delineate it here, map it in. We're going to, then bisect it. And then someone else is going to come in. But are you sure? Because it doesn't really have a step feature in there as if it was a dug out mold. I think this might be something else. We may want to dig a little further before we fully go.
Just bisect it and find out.
And then we go back to staring at it and looking at it all over.
I'm getting
again.
anxiety just listening to you describe this.
I know, right? I'm like, just dig the fucker.
But if you want to know the life of an archaeologist, this happens. That's why they're freaking out so much, because they've lived it.
Okay, so the last site we fought.
I've done this where you have the entire crew come over to look at a feature, and it's everybody just standing there for 15 minutes. But in my head, I know, okay, everybody bills at X amount rate, and we're sitting here for X amount of person hours, which means we just wasted $500 looking at this.
And we all know the worst. The worst is when that one day the PI is on site, and the PI finds it.
Oh God!
Then everything shuts down because we need to contemplate this.
Oh my God!
Aneurysm. Tom's gonna have an aneurysm at this point.
I actually like my PIs. I like my PIs a lot, but sometimes.
But sometimes, yes.
That is 100% accurate. The last job I was on, the crew, found this awesome pot. Like, it was almost the complete pot, but of course, it's like crushed. But all of the pieces were there, and it was really cool. There's no stain around it. It's just like someone dropped their pot and kept walking. And they gave the feature to the two newest people on the crew.
Yeah.
I mean, they did a good job, but it took them a week and a half to take this pot out of a 1x1.
So here,
No, I'm sorry, they're 2x2s. It took them a week to take this pot out of a 2x2. And like the whole time, on like the third day, everybody else on the crew was like, maybe we could just go over there and just grab it for him. We could just, like, just pop the fucker out of there. Everybody on the crew was doing this. We're just going to go over there when they're not looking and just be like, boop, 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 done.
Oh man, no. Okay, so here, this is the thing that I've been working on, because I've been a field director for a little while now, but I'm still trying to figure out the whole management thing. And I mean, trying to teach new techs, sometimes it's like they know what they're doing and they're fine. If I leave them to what they're working on, they're gonna be, generally speaking, they're not gonna do anything that's gonna really mess up a feature. But it just takes so long, and it's just that they haven't done it before, and they're second guessing themselves. And I've been exactly there before. Yeah. It's like, oh god, just get past this part.
Just get your spoon out of your dig kit and scoop the thing out of there. You're fine.
Just start. You're looking at it for too long. Just start. This is what CRM archaeology does.
That's true. Like with academic archaeology, you can take your time because you have time. With CRM, it's like, we got to be out of here by Friday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a very different set of stories when it comes to taking time.
God, I can't imagine. Like, what's a long time for you guys? Like,
gosh, it depends on if something's coming up. Like as. Because I'm not the one overseeing.
Uh-oh.
Damn it.
Skype is not nice to us tonight. Damn you, Skype.
Yeah.
No, we are not having with the internet at all.
This is definitely evil archaeology night. Ooh.
Am I back?
You're back.
There you are.
Yeah.
Excellent. No, what you guys are talking about, the thing that came to mind for me was, the project's overseen specifically by one professor, and he has a series of grad students that are helping out on the site as well. And I just always think of the fact that I'd come to the site and we'd, kind of do a team meeting in the beginning, and he would always be like, now you see that the pile of rocks over there is probably going to be a burial over there. And I would say accuracy was probably about like 20% of the time, if that. But I mean, to be fair, I mean, it could have been something, but honestly, it was just, and the amount of time that goes into, just dedicating to that feature is fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean, predictive model. You could be.
You go.
Yep. Good job.
Somebody go.
We suck tonight.
All right. So predictive models can be a problem, is what all I was trying to say. Because you have landforms, and you expect certain things to be on certain landforms, and you have these, types of areas where you expect to find things, and then sometimes there's nothing there.
Oh, yeah.
Predictive modeling only works if you go out and ground truth it. Like, you can predict all the shit you want.
Right. So you can, there are certain areas that you can say, okay, it's a low probability here, but pretty much everything else is high probability at that point.
Right. It's just a tool. It's not end all be all. I see too many people using it as end all be all. And that's when you get stuck digging like 3 layers of sterile soil because there's supposed to be something there. It's like, yeah, it's sterile soil. It's cool, man, though. You're paying me. It's, whatever.
So the little blood room demon thing made me think of like a Nope story. Like, what's a good Nope story for me? One would have been, I think I was still doing survey work for telecommunications towers. So I was out in the field by myself, and it was an urban woodland. And basically, we're talking about the little patches of trees off of interstates. and off of roads where it's like highway development, and there's just a little tiny patch of woods there. And when you're doing a survey there, in there by yourself, and you come upon a camp. Those are always some of the biggest nope moments out there. Because you're coming upon humans. That's always the worst. The thing in the woods.
The worst thing is
the worst thing to bump into in the woods are humans. I bumped into snakes, scared away deer, scared away big cats. Seen bear poop, but thankfully never seen the bear. Because I don't know if I'd scare that away or not. But it's always humans that give you the biggest nope moment. And whether it's finding a poacher's tree stand, and you're looking around to see if the poachers, you don't want to get shot accidentally. You find the weird dilapidated motorhome in the middle of the woods. You don't want to know if that's a meth lab or not. That's a big nope, we're done. Survey not tested. Flood zone, plains, whatever I got to put on here, it ain't being tested.
You can just put down suspected meth house.
Well, that also gets put on there, but yeah, that's big nope. That's like
Take a picture of it and put it on the map.
Yeah, right. No, I
architectural resource meth lab.
Meth lab.
So, what are some of your big nope stories? Like, I feel like something you bumped into and you're like, nope, I'm out.
What have I? I was expecting to. I was doing some pipeline up in the Appalachian Mountains, and I kept expecting to see like a still for moonshiners, and they don't call the cops. And luckily we didn't run into any of that, but that was always one that would have been a trigger for me to just go, no, we're not. I'll be in the truck. You guys let me know when you're done before I was running projects. But that was just, I'm going to get murdered by tweakers today. Great.
Oh, no. Yeah, mine is visible people that don't look like they're supposed to be there. And cows. I don't like to fuck with cows.
I do actually have a good cow story.
Cows are so big. They are so big.
Tell us the story.
Yeah, what happened with the cows? Yeah, you said you were hurting them.
Yeah, it was. So I guess I have two cow stories. So the first one was we're working in this paddock, and it was people that owned the cows and owned the land. They were like renting it, and there was some miscommunications on who was supposed or where they were supposed to be and when, and where they could actually move them to. And they were like, "Oh, don't worry about it. They're very docile." Except there were two recently mature bulls in with a herd, and at least one of the heifers was in heat. And we got out of the truck, and I think I've told this story before, but we got out of the truck, and we're getting our gear. And because they hadn't been bothering us for the first few days we were out there, and we got out of the truck, started getting our gear out, and then all of a sudden the cows start walking over, and like, okay, we'll keep an eye on them. And all of a sudden, the one big red bull just starts charging us, and everybody just kind of scattered, and he got pretty close to the truck, and then I had to get at the bull with a shovel and back him up while the rest of the crew got the gear back in the truck and got back in the truck. And I was like, we're not testing this field today. So we got everybody back in the truck finally, and then I got in the truck and we started driving away, and then the bull started running after the truck. So that was fun.
That's funny. I'm glad you're okay, but that's hilarious.
Yeah, that was. It didn't make me feel like a badass, but it did back the bull up. Just, I'm a big scary monster. Rawr! And then yesterday we were out in the field, and it was big beef cows instead of dairy cows this time, and and we saw one that we couldn't tell if it was a bull or not, but it was still a big beefy cow, and it kind of came up near us and then walked away, and we were just keeping an eye on it. And then it came back with the entire herd, and they were making these crazy sounds, like it just sounds like. Right. So in Jurassic Park, the T-Rex sound is a big elephant sped up to make that sound.
Yeah.
It sounded like that. Like it was just this weird screaming sound, which we later figured out was the calves. But they were just loud as hell cows. I don't know what was going on with those cows, but they were just loud. So we got them, they like wandered off, and then we kept moving, and they were fine for a while, and then they started wandering over to us, like crowding where we were testing. So I ended up getting in the truck and like herding them for a while and drawing them away because they thought I was a food truck. Which is when that's what the video was from.
So wait, they're under no obligation to clear the fields?
I think there was some miscommunication.
That's a funny question.
There was some miscommunication because I think they thought we were still working in the next field over,
okay.
And I think we were under the impression they probably wouldn't wander into the next paddock where we were, but there was like a gate open or something between. But we ended up being able, like I ended up having to herd the cows for the morning, and the owner, the herder, cow owners, whatever, came in and took care of it a little bit later. I got them away for a while, and they came back, and it ended up being me and another crew chief just like yelling at the cows to get them, and we were able to like scare them away again yesterday. So cattle herding is going on my TV now.
Yeah, I don't like cows. I don't like being in fields with cows. Not that I haven't. I just don't like it. I'm always, if I see one twitch in a way that I'm not prepared for, I'm like, oh god. No, I don't like cows.
But I
damn near anything else I'm fine with.
But I always found it weird that like things that would be like conventionally people would think would be scary and things in the field don't bother me. I'm out in the woods and you see hanging from a tree about 50 feet above you a doll's clothes. Yeah,
right.
You're 50 miles from the road and you find a doll's head. I'm in an 18th century house where the floors have been ripped up and I'm crawling underneath them and the walls are caving in, and when you go up to the second floor you get vertigo because the floor has been shifted enough where you're no longer on the correct plane. Yeah.
Didn't you actually hurt yourself on that one though?
Oh yeah, I fell through the floor and sprained my ankle and my knee on that one. Hey, and my wrist. But I wasn't spooked out by the place. But I find a find a presence of a modern human. This is why
men have more injuries than women.
Yeah, spooky stuff doesn't bother me out in the field. Spiders, snakes, wildlife.
I was working in Maryland, and our crew chief kept there were definitely poachers that had been working in the area or coyotes or something, but there were some deer carcasses, and he found a skull, and like he's a tall guy, and he like hung it up in the highest branch he could. And before we got to it, and that one spooked me because I was still pretty green at that point. I was like, oh god.
No, I still have a picture from a nice deer skull we put on one of our crew chief's front of his truck. We laid it on top and took some nice pictures of it.
Nice.
Okay.
If I ever find one again that's nice and clean, I'm gonna put it on my shovel and just kind of cart it around on the tip of my shovel for a while. See who notices.
Working on an island with no large fauna presents a very different set of things that potentially worry me at the site. And the biggest one for me is black mold.
Oh, yeah.
It's a northern island. It's very damp. And so mold growth is like inevitable. And a lot of the buildings that we end up using are old schools that are no longer in use. And our first field lab was in an elementary school, which literally, if you want to talk about post-apocalyptic archaeology, it looked like it had just been up and abandoned.
Oh, wow.
You walked into the staff room and there were like cigarette butts still in the tray, and there were newspapers
Wow.
strewn about. And I'll have to put up pictures or show pictures. We nicknamed the place Silent Hill for a really good reason.
Oh, wow.
Jesus.
But there was black mold
Yeah, that's
all over the
creepy.
ceiling. And I don't want to work, for a couple hours each day in a space that's, closed and
Nope.
full of black mold.
That's
No,
under the
thank
list-
you.
That's under the list of things in CRM. You block out that out of your mind when you're in that basement
Ugh.
and you're in that building. You're like, or you're in that military facility digging in the dirt. You just try not to think about what's here.
Yeah, UXO. Working on bases with UXO.
Well, UXO is fine. Unexploded
Yeah,
ordnance.
unexploded ordnance. Yeah.
They warn. He's like, well, you should avoid it and stay away from it. The only way we're going to
How
find
we know
it
it's
is if
there?
we dig it up.
Yeah,
That's how we
Right,
find it.
exactly.
We've already handled it because we've dug it
Yeah,
up.
that was-
We wouldn't know it otherwise.
Yeah, I did. We were doing this one that we had to get like permits or whatever, and on the response, like they have to like sign it or whatever, and there was like a note on one of the ones that came back, and they're like, oh, there might be training mines in this area. I was like, what does that mean?
One of the crews,
But they were
crew I
like-
just got done.
Don't worry about it.
The crew I just got done working with, they had the job prior to this, they were on an army base. And it's a training base. And I guess they went out to survey around one of the live fire ranges. And there was a miscommunication in the command line. And so they were told that they could go over there and it would be fine, and
Oh, no.
then they get over there and there's just live fire coming at them because apparently nobody bothered to tell the firing range that there were going to be people in the area.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, if it's hisses, it's bad. If it's pops, it's okay. For gunfire.
That's
Yeah,
good
In
to
case you were
know.
wondering.
And if
I've
you're
never been
wondering
shot at at a
about,
firing range.
I've done the firing
Can't
range
say I have
thing
either.
and the disposal burns. I've been around those as well. The only ones that have ever
Yeah.
really like made my insides feel like jelly were tree falls, because we were working on this one project where we were in a fenced-in area, but everything around there they were clear cutting to build a shopping mall. So it would be 100 feet from us. They're bringing down this 150-foot tree with about a 2-foot, 3-foot diameter. And let me say, when that thing hits, and I'm on my stomach, in the test unit. So when it hits the ground, that shock wave, it is one of the few times I've ever felt like
Oh,
my
yeah.
internal organs just running around like jelly. It was not a fun experience. So we spent like 3 weeks there. And the worst part is to get in and out of the field, we'd have to walk through them where they're so they got the big trucks, and they got the one little machine which grabs the tree and has the little saw blade that shoots out and cuts it,
Yep.
and then carries
Really
on
cool.
top and strips it for the smaller trees. The big honker ones.
It's a
they
really
have-
cool machine, though.
the big honking ones, they just have a really insane dude just sort of casually walking around with his chainsaw. He'd come by and chat with us every once in a while when he was bored, but he wasn't crazy, because you got to be crazy to just by yourself, surrounded by all the heavy equipment, going boom, and then knocking them down and go on to the next one.
I thought you were talking about like Widowmakers, because we were.
Oh, Widow, no,
We were doing
no.
this.
Now, if you don't want something that actually makes me scared in the woods, that is the one thing that on during field projects will make me go like walk around, warn everybody 20 times,
Yeah.
Windy.
and they'll stare at you.
Yeah,
especially the new
I don't
people.
walk on trees anymore if I
New
can
people
avoid
stare
it.
at you like,
No, we were
"Why?"
working in the field, and there was this big, like it was there had been a big storm, so all these trees are like precariously all over the place, and we went in, and there was like a second storm coming in, and like all of the trees, you know, when you're sitting at home and the trees sway and you hear the creaking and the cracking, you're like, oh, that's nice. When you're standing under the tree that's doing it, it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah. Windy days and depleted soil, not a good combination.
Oh.
But yeah, just to clarify on the hisses and pops thing. So I have never been shot at, but I've done a pipeline so far. I don't hope never to have to do another one. It's not fun work, but a lot of the other folks that were working on there had been working on that pipeline for a while, and other utility projects and things like that. But so landowners don't like it when you're working for a project that is using eminent domain, and sometimes they just shoot to scare you off, and sometimes they shoot at you. And so if it's a pop, it just means it's just the gunfire. If you hear the hisses, it means the bullets are flying past you.
I have been shot at in the direction where I was doing pipeline work. I don't know if they were actually aiming for us, but I mean, yeah, you hear the guns go off. But yeah, they'll shoot in your general direction, kind of like off to the side, because they know.
Yeah.
They know if you hear gunfire, you have to leave the field.
Yeah.
And so they'll do that. They'll go and they'll just basically fire their gun off because now you've heard gunfire, and so now you have to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always sounds funny considering that like the scientists and the archaeologists are the ones that are in there first trying to determine where the line is actually going to go. So we're the like last thing that could potentially prevent the pipeline from going through your property, and you're calling the cops on us and shooting at us and threatening us with guns and whatever else, and that's just rude. It's just rude. We're just trying to do our job.
We're already jumpy.
So we've turned this into another Halloween episode. Spooky archaeology stories from the field.
It's pretty spooky.
I was like, I'm so happy you don't do your job.
I had a scorpion fall from the ceiling in a dig house in Texas once.
Nope.
I think in the Southwest, if you don't have if you don't have a scorpion story from the Southwest, you didn't do any work in the Southwest. They're just
I got
everywhere.
chased by a water moccasin from like 60 feet. That was kind of fun. And I only know it was that far because I know how many units I had to go back.
1.5.
So, yeah.
All right. So I think we're winding down. I think our energy is sort of expedient after all these scary stories. Unless there's any other scary stories somebody wants to get out.
Ticks. The end.
Oh, ticks. God.
Ticks is the zombie
I have worked in
apocalypse.
places where I have just started dreaming about ticks. That's the worst.
Yes, ticks are the most frightening animal in the field.
I don't like, because you can't catch them. Hard to catch them.
I hate ticks. I don't understand why they exist.
To feed possums.
Oh, God.
I think we just need more possums. I think that's what it is.
This is why I sell myself in like permethrin and DEET. I'm like, you know what? I'm not having kids. I'll be fine.
I just want like a
well,
possum.
you certainly aren't now.
No. Yep.
So on that high note,
It's always good to. Yeah.
so when we see you again, it will be November, and we will see. Actually, we're going to do the recap of the super scary. You think this was scary? Next week on Thursday on Halloween, the crew will encounter a specter and other creepy things on our special Halloween episode.
You know,
we have no sound. We have no like special effects or sound effects or anything. So, spooky time. Oh, the nope stuff. Yeah, we covered that a little earlier. That's basically the trees are going to fall and smash into your head. Meth labs. Um, that's mainly it. That'll make you want to nope out of the field, and people shooting at you. People shooting at you also makes you want to go.
Yeah,
So tune in
that's
next.
less than great.
Tune in next Thursday over on our Twitch channel. We might bring everything into home into one place here. We're still talking about that. Put that back into our comments, whether you'd be okay seeing everything here on YouTube, or do you kind of like the fact that our game is being played over on the Twitch channel or not. So give us some feedback on that. But for next week, we're going to be over at our Twitch channel, streaming our special live creepy Halloween episode. I will be in a different costume. I will not promise for everyone else, because it's the first I'm bringing it up, everybody. Some might come in the same costume.
I
Maybe.
have another costume that I'm pulling onto, so yes.
I'm gonna run to a store and buy a onesie or something. I don't know.
Oh my god, yes.
And Alma might
Just buy a
have
funny hat.
new art.
Hopefully can see you anyway.
Yes, I can definitely throw together some new art. I got to figure out what I'll wear.
Should be a witch. I don't think we have a witch yet.
Mm.
Or something like, ooh, make yourself a drider.
A drider?
Art.
It's a
an
half
art,
crow,
yeah.
half spider.
Oh, we forgot
Oh.
to mention this.
Hold on.
If you're watching-
I have my monster manual right here.
If you're watching Rituals, if you're watching Still Digging earlier, with our book, the book of that horrible review we did of, not a horrible review, it was a great review, perfect review, of that horrible book, Evil Archaeology, we forgot to mention the Slender Man reference in it.
Oh, we did, yeah.
Oh,
You're too close to the camera.
What?
Out of focus. Pull it back. Pull it
Can you
back.
see it?
Put your
Sorry.
head behind the book so the book
Pull back.
takes over.
That's just gonna think it's
Am I
No,
blurry
it's
out
because
again?
you got
Hold on.
the blur background on, because so it's blurring it out. It doesn't.
looking for your face.
It's looking for a face.
Hold on. I thought I turned that off again. Unblur my background.
Okay, there we go.
Is that better? This
Yeah,
one.
she does touch on the whole concept of the, I think it's pronounced tulpas, and
Oh,
and-
yeah.
concept of Slender Man being a tulpa. And if you don't know what a tulpa is, you are forgiven. But it's the idea that if enough people believe in a thing, it will make the thing real. So there should be all kinds of shit wandering around.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting anthropological concept, but again, it just wasn't addressed
So
the way.
Yeah, it was
Go back.
completely out of context. She was using it incorrectly.
But go
You know.
back,
Right,
watch
anyway.
our Still Digging. My arm is still sore from so much dunking on that one. But anyway, tune in for our next week,
There was a lot of dunking.
our Spooktacular Part 2 for Rituals and Rolls, Episode 3, Halloween Spectacular. Ooh, where I try to scare the characters. Ooh. Once again,
on the Halloween.
you can
Just
find
present us with doors.
You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter at ArcheoRPG.
Yeah.
You can email us at archeorpg@gmail.com. If you like what we do and want to support the show, we have our Patreon. You can see at the bottom of the screen here, www.patreon.com/archeorpg. Please like, share, and support. Let other people know what we're doing out here, that we're trying to bring archaeology. We want to bring archaeology to a larger audience. We want to bring plenty of archaeologists on board here, and the more the merrier to share in our stories with. But also bring in, especially for Rituals and Rolls, I would say both shows. Bring your friends in who aren't archaeologists. Hopefully we can tell them something. They can ask us questions. You can see right now we're small enough. We're pretty much going to answer your questions personally if you ask it of us. So come on
That's
over.
true.
So once again, thank you. We wouldn't be able to do any of this without you. We would just be the four of us talking on Skype to ourselves, which was exactly what we were doing before we started all this. So thank you very much for watching. And until next time, there's no catchphrase for the end of this show yet. Goodbye.